Good evening, everyone. It is 6 o'clock. It is time for the February 4th, 2025 Findlay City Council meeting. We'll start with a roll call, Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ballman?
Here.
Mr. DeArmond?
Here.
Ms. Frischi?
Here.
Mr. Greeno?
Here.
Mr. Hellman?
Here.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Here.
Mr. Palmer?
Here.
Mr. Russell?
Here.
Ms. Warnicki?
Here.
And Mr. Wolpser?
Present.
Council President Harrington informed me he would not be here, which is why I'm on this side of the meeting tonight, and I would make or accept a motion for his to be excused. Mr. DeArmond, second. Mr. Palmer. All in favor of excusing John, please say aye.
Aye.
And he is excused. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
How's Holly?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
We have the meeting minutes from our January 21st, 2025 meeting. Motion to adopt or approve. Mr. Palmer, second. Mr. Hellman, questions or comments? All in favor of acceptance of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
And they are accepted. Mr. Wolpser, add-ons, replacements, removals from tonight's agenda.
Yes, sir. We have one replacement. This is for ordinance 2025-012. This is the legislation section. This was just the ordinance that's dealing with road salt accounting, and it's a revised Exhibit A, and I'd make a motion that that be included in tonight's agenda.
Second, Mr. Greeno. All in favor of the replacement, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign, and the agenda is amended. Moving on to, no proclamations, moving on to recognitions of retirements. Let's see here. I think we have one. Mayor, would you like to take the floor?
Resolution number 007-2025, a resolution commending Donald Rasmussen for the excellence of his service to the city of Findlay, Ohio. Whereas Donald Rasmussen, who served the city of Findlay, Ohio as an assistant law director and the law director since October 29, 1984, has retired effective January 12, 2025, having completed over 41 years of service. And whereas Don was admitted to the bar of the Ohio Supreme Court on October 29, 1984, whereupon he was appointed as an assistant law director of the city for the city of Findlay, Ohio, and has also begun his private practice of law. In 2011, he was duly elected to the position of Director of Law for the City of Findlay, where he honorably served 3 consecutive terms as the city's full-time Director of Law, a position he held until his retirement. And whereas during his career as Law Director, Don has served 2 administrations, 2 mayors, 6 councils, and has attended approximately 72 city council meetings, as well as countless committee and administrative hearings, and he's loved every single one of them, I'm sure. Whereas Don, during his career as an assistant director of law, as well as law director for the city of Findlay, Ohio, has performed as an outstanding public servant to the citizens of Findlay and to the city of Findlay. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the council of the city of Findlay, state of Ohio, that this council does hereby extend its congratulations to Donald Rasmussen upon the occasion of his retirement as the city of Findlay law director, and thanks him for his long and loyal service to the city, and that this council extends its best wishes to him upon his retirement from the city of Findlay, Ohio. This resolution shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period provided by law. Please join me in congratulating and thanking Don. Don, if you could please come forward, sir.
All right.
All right.
He says he doesn't want to give a speech.
All right.
All right. Thank Thanks, Dan.
Don, let's make this official. Do we have anybody want a motion on this? Mr. Wobser?
Make a motion to adopt the resolution.
And we'll have a second by Mr. Palmer, Mr. Greeno, Mr. Hellman, Mr. Ballman, Mr. DeArmond. How about everybody else?
Everybody.
Comments? Mr. Wobser.
Just want to make a quick comment because in our conversation before the meeting, I want to give my condolences to Teresa since she will now have to deal with Don 24 hours a day and doesn't get to get rid of him at work for at least 8 hours. But Don, congratulations. Wish you the very best. And same to you, Teresa, also. We're not forgetting your change of status here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate people would ask not for breakfast.
Other comments? All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
And Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted. On to petitions.
Petition for annexation for Keller Seifert Enterprises LLC et al. Is currently in Allen Township for 37.906 acres.
We'll have that referred to the law director.
Petition for annexation for Northtown Condominium Villas for 7.883 acres. It's currently in Liberty Township.
Refer that to the law director.
The status of County Road 18, known as the Weaver annexation for 1.48 acres. It is, what am I going to say? Documentation has been received from the county commissioners. It is currently in the city clerk's required 60-day hold, which will end March 9th, 2025.
Comments? Next.
Status of the Barfell Hobart annexation for two different parcels, 5.125 acres and a parcel of 13.035 acres. Documentation from the county was received. The 60-day hold in the city clerk's office will be up on March 30th, 2025.
Comments? Next.
Status of the County Road 220, County Road 99, also known as Sheets, also known as CSP Investments Incorporated, for 77.808 acres. This was denied by the county.
Comments? Next.
Status of the County Road 212, known as the Cole annexation, for 48.987 acres. Received documentation from the county commissioners that this annexation was denied.
Comments? Next.
Status of the County Road 212, Township Road 99, known as the Voorhees annexation, for 160.429 acres. Received documentation from the county commissioners that this annexation was denied.
Comments? Mr. Hellman?
I've got a quick question, I guess, on these that are denied by the county commissioners. Can we get a clarification as to what happens now? I mean, does the petitioner appeal or does it bounce back to us?
Mayor?
So the Sheets annexation, which is for the Sheets gas station, not for the Sheets production facility, they have already appealed. They have submitted an appeal. The Cole property and Voorhees properties, those property owners have also requested that an appeal be filed. So Phil Rooney, who had originally submitted those, will be looking to submit them. One of the things that I've heard from the commissioners that was their primary concerns was that the township did not have a revenue sharing agreement over and above the state mandated revenue sharing agreement in place with the city of Findlay. That is something that we had sent to them in past that was consistent with Liberty Township and some of the others that are in Marion Township. They had not provided feedback since then. I have sat down with Kevin Flanagan and Commissioner Bateson and they are working to provide the township, Allen Township is working to discuss and provide feedback on a potential revenue sharing agreement. I think that will resolve some of the issues we're experiencing with the denials.
And that covers all of the annexations that were denied?
Yes, I believe all of them are currently in Liberty,
Okay, thank you.
Allen Township, sorry.
Yeah. Thanks.
Other questions or comments? We'll move on to, we're going to start with written communications while the mayor and Rob get some things ready for Dr. Kawamura.
A letter from President CEO Josh Anderson, Director of Transportation Jamie Baker, and Mobility Manager Crystal Wheats for Community Action Commission HHWP for thanking for the $100,000 allocation from the city of Findlay.
Mr. Stasiak.
It came to my attention today, and I was surprised to learn that when we closed last year, the PO for this had not been entered in the prior calendar year. So my staff has let, I think, Kathy know that that needs done, but you will, in order to comply with state audit law, have to pass this again. So, and then they get the PO in and we'll be all set. I don't expect any problem, but I wanted to make you aware you're gonna see it again.
Other questions or comments? Letter be filed, and with that, we'll move to oral communications from Dr. Hiro Kawamura. Hiro, you know the routine, red light on, and when you're ready with the mayor, we're all set.
I think he's gonna speak first.
Okay.
All members of the city council and the mayor and mayor's office, thank you so much for giving me a few minutes to talk about it. Okay. So my name is Hiro Kawamura. I'm originally from Japan, and I have been living in Findlay since 1998. So this is my city. And I have been teaching Japanese language, Japanese culture, and other culture courses at the University of Findlay. And February 21st is the United Nations International Mother Language Day. And we started, on our campus, we started celebrating this day in 2018. But in recent years, we started expanding this celebration to the community. And this year, this is the flyer we just made this year, today. And this year, we are going to celebrate this on February 20th, Thursday. And I want to invite you to our campus because your presence will mean a lot to our students and also community members in attendance. And if you could attend our event on February 20th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., could you please let Denise know so that she can let me know so that we can properly acknowledge your presence. And this will be important for our campus as well as for our community. So Mayor, could you please video? So last year we made a short video and we want to share it with you.
The sound playing.
No. Now it is.
Well, you get to see my big face without the lovely noise. Matt, do you know how to get the noise to come? Oh, actually, I do know. One moment.
So while we are waiting, this event, this International Mother Language Day started in Bangladesh. And what happened in Bangladesh was when East Pakistan and West Pakistan, so East Pakistan is nowadays Bangladesh, there was a government who said, you cannot use your own language. From today on, you have to speak Urdu. And the people protested. And several people were killed in that protest, and then it became an independence movement. So for students and people from Bangladesh, this is a major day. And they do a national celebration, and they appealed to the United Nations, and the United Nations took it, and then it became an international day.
আমি বাংলাদেশ থেকে এসেছি আমি বাংলায় কথা বলি
Clearly, this isn't my normal job.
Thank you.
I'm Findlay, Ohio Mayor Christina Murn, and each year we get to celebrate International Mother Language Day, but we also get to celebrate the linguistic and cultural diversity of our community all year long.
पाकिस्तान में पैदा हुई। मेरी ज़बान उर्दू है। मैं अब
She's a medical doctor.
हूँ। ये मेरा नया घर है।
He works at YMCA today.
Ați mult bulgarian, bigovoru bulgarski jezik. U momentu živim
She teaches at Van Buren.
When Japanese companies came to Findlay, some Japanese company presidents were saying, don't speak Japanese in public. Why did they say that? Because they were afraid that people in Findlay would not like it. I have been living in Findlay for 25 years. Fortunately, I have not had that fear. I speak Japanese with my family openly in public, and I am grateful for this welcoming community.
สบายดีขน้อยเป็นคนลาวเดี๋ยวนี้ขน้อยอยู่ฟินแลนด์โอไฮโอ
Nous sortis Haïti, nous parlons créole haïtien, Findlay c'est Caillou.
Soy de Venezuela, ahora Findlay es mi hogar.
大家好，我来自
He's a pastor, Chinese pastor.
现在 Findlay 是我的家。
The City of Findlay and the University of Findlay have worked together for many years to welcome people from around the world. We intend to continue doing that. And I believe we all benefit from it, including our business community. So thank you, Findlay, for supporting students from around the world.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to add one more point here. So as you know, there are Japanese companies here. There are 5 Japanese production facilities. One joint venture between Japanese and German company, and one administrative office of a Japanese company, and one sales office of Japanese company here. But the more important point from my viewpoint is that there are families whose mothers or fathers commute to their companies located in Ada, Kenton, Upper Sandusky, and Leipzig. So why do they live here instead of other places? Because we have established good environment for them to be here. And we are safe, and we have good ESL program in Findlay City Schools. And we have many programs that welcome people who are from other cultures, including Japan. And I am very proud of this fact, and I want to thank the mayor and the city leaders, including city council, because you make our community great, and you make our community welcoming. So thank you so much for your support. So if I could see you on February 20th on campus, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Hiro. Questions or comments? Mr. Hellman.
Hiro, Mr. Karamura, the names of the countries that were there within 30 seconds before it ended, are all those represented here in Findlay or Hancock County?
Yes, definitely, yes.
Really? It's more than I thought.
I often say this to my students and people I know. We have diversity here. If our eyes are closed and if our ears are closed, we will never see those people who speak different language. And I meant what I said. So Japanese companies, when they came here in 1980s and 1990s, they were saying, don't speak Japanese in public. They were truly afraid. And do we want to make our community fearful place? Of course not. So that is what this celebration is about.
Mayor.
I would just add the event is not just people speaking. It's singing, dance performances, poetry. So it's a lot of fun, and a lot of times some of our local schools bring their students as well. So it's a good time. You can stop over for just a little bit or stay for typically goes for 2 hours.
Mr. Hellman.
If I might follow up, how many countries were represented on that list, or how many companies are represented here in Findlay?
Companies or countries?
countries, excuse me, I'm
we
sorry.
do not have the exact number, but on our campus alone, we usually have 40 to 50 countries. It varies from semester to semester.
40 to 50 countries.
Yeah, countries.
More than I thought. Thank you.
So once again, here, that's February 20th at 11 a.m. on the U of F campus, correct?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Reports of municipal officers and municipal departments.
Treasurer's Reconciliation Report for December 31st, 2024.
Questions or comments? Reports be filed.
Summary financial reports for December 31st, 2024.
Mr. DeArmond.
Jim, I had a quick question on the cash investments report. So at the bottom, it was left blank on how much, I was just curious, how much did we earn in our investments this year, or last year, rather?
Well, if you'd have sent me an email and told me you wanted to know, I'd have had that ready for you, so I'll have to email it to you, but I'm glad you asked the question, because I have a few comments I need to make as well when Mr. Russell's ready.
Mr. Stasiak.
Thank you. There's a couple things you folks need to be aware of. First off, in the prior report from the Treasurer's Office, I wanted to make you aware that total investments has dropped from 105 million down to that 97,900,000, so about 98 million. So as I talked about in the budget meetings, you're seeing an overall drop in your cash position. And then in the report that I've just completed and submitted to the county, and I'll pass on to the administration tomorrow, we talk about your initial unrestricted position in your general fund, unrestricted or unappropriated when we start the year. So for 2025, it ended up a skosh higher because of the amount of money that departments returned. We were starting the year with 26.1 million. Last year, that was about 31 million, so that's dropped as well. And keep in mind, as we talked about, we're projected to end this year and dropping from 26 million down to 20 million. So you're certainly deficit spending, and the deficit spending encompasses both sides, operationally and the capital side. The other thing I'll mention to you here, because it's not commonly known, and that is our rainy day reserve account is limited by the state, and the calculation that I do for that is based on the prior year's revenue. So I will actually be doing an adjustment downwards on your rainy day reserve account of $170,000, give or take, and that's going to drop that down to under 2 million to stay within compliance for the state. The ordinance you folks passed for me, I think it was a couple years ago, gave me the ability to do that without coming to you directly, but I want it on the record that that's happening based on our revenues. The last statement I'll make here is, and as I said in the budget meeting, you have a budget in place, but throughout the year, keep in mind, requests come in to supplement, whether it be grants or projects from the general fund. Every additional appropriation that comes through here that has general fund tag to it is going to reduce that year-end cash balance. And I had mentioned when I got the numbers over to Jeremy earlier today for his capital planning that I'm a little bit gun shy on the business net profit tax. So we projected it out, well, let me rephrase that. Income tax department projected it out at about 6 million, not only this year, but next year. In a normal year, I have no precedent for a $6 million net business profits tax return. If I was being a little bit more conservative, which I try not to do, I try to be realistic, probably would have come in at about 4.5. So be cautious, watch the reports as they come in. Let's see what's going on, and Mr. DeArmond, I'll get you that information.
Ms. Frishy.
With all that being said, Mayor, do you have a projected amount of what you're looking at on capital, or do you have a date set for us to go over our capital planning?
So on the capital, we just received the numbers earlier today from the auditor on what he is allocating towards capital. And again, that's 20% of the overall expected revenue, but he does some finagling magic on what he projects that to be. And so we have put together from the departments kind of their requests, and we've started going through that. But with just receiving the number, it's going to be a couple of weeks as we go through that with a fine-tooth comb, set out priorities, et cetera. On the overall revenue, looking at last year's performance, and I'll put together a summary and send it out to you guys, because the auditor is correct that the general fund revenue decreased by about $5 million. But as you are also aware, in December, we had 2 significant transfers that came directly out of general fund. Well, not directly out of, but ran through general fund. You had the $3 million income tax refund, which was an anomaly, and then the $2.2 million that we put towards flood mitigation and set that aside. So those were 2 really substantial items that were out of the blue. Also, earlier in March, we had the $1.6 million come out for the fire truck. In my opinion, we should have financed that and looked at some other opportunities so that we could have kept those dollars in our investments and generating interest revenue. When you put those things, stack those on top of our operating expense, our departments actually would have returned $5 million or broken even within the department. So we are still being consistent in managing operations to make sure that we are living within the general fund revenue. As we look at this year, one of the things you're gonna see, we've already been talking to our departments, and every month when we're looking at our expenses, if there are line items that they have now paid the expense out of and they had a buffer, we're gonna be working with them on a monthly or quarterly basis to turn those dollars back into the general fund rather than holding them to the end of the year. As I said during the budget hearings, a priority for us is always giving our departments what they need to manage their departments so that we're not having to call emergency council meetings all the time to run the city. But we also want those dollars back into the unappropriated funds so that we can be investing those in things that are going to benefit the entire community. I've spent a lot of times trying to manage and look at the budget. I believe the numbers, and don't quote me on the exact. I believe that the 2024 interest earnings estimate, the budget was about 1.7 million, 1.8 million, and it came in closer to 2.4. And then this year's budget is closer for 2025. The interest revenue expectation is about $900,000. So certainly, obviously, a more conservative number with our cash balance decreasing a bit, but we certainly outperformed what the budget was for last year.
2 quick things. Yeah, I'm optimistic on that interest number as well, with the Fed not coming down as quickly as they indicated they were gonna. So that, $1 million is nothing to sneeze at. I want to make one correction for you, especially with you having some presentations coming up. The $1 million that was appropriated for the fire engine, we self-funded that, and that money was invested because it won't be spent for, I forget if it's 2 years, year and a half, and we actually acquired a significant interest rate on that, to where rather than it costing us 1.6 million, we set aside 1.4 million, and the interest will pick up the other 200,000. So by doing that investing, it was able to long-term save us some money with using present value money. So that worked out pretty good. So let's see what happens, and I don't want us to get into a verbal fencing match or anything. Let's just keep going and let's do good things with the budget and take care of our people. The big thing is if we get upside down, we need to be prepared to slow things down quickly, because in government, when a million doesn't come in and you're still spending that million, your books are going to be 2 million lower at the end. You have to be prepared for that. It goes down twice as fast as you typically expect. So it's a little harder to slow the train down.
Ms. Frishy.
Mayor, I'm going to respectfully hold your feet to the fire a little bit on this capital planning. If we can get a date, maybe the beginning of March, because the sooner we know some of that, and I think it's great that you're going to be meeting with the departments to return money this year instead of waiting to the end. And maybe you'll have a schedule that we get a review statement from you in the council packet bi-monthly or something would be great too.
Mr. Kalb.
So I've been working on the capital plan, like the mayor said, just received the numbers today. They're a little different than what I was projecting, which was normal. I don't do what Jim does down there, so I had to wait for those. Got to do some moving around and stuff like that. Right now, my goal and what we want to do to make sure our capital project projects can keep moving forward is in February we'll be having appropriation meetings, so that way at the latest the first meeting in March I can get this out to you guys for that. But we are moving on it. I'm working on it every day, working with the departments, making sure that what we're in there is having thoughtful, not just putting in once where actually we need them type material or for equipment and stuff like that.
And I would just add, we provide, if you want to look at last year's capital planning book, obviously that looks out at 10 years. And so we add and adjust things on an annual basis as they come up, but you review that, that will also give you a pretty good example of what to kind of expect.
Reports be filed.
Officer Shareholders Disclosure Form from the Ohio Department of Commerce Division of Liquor Control for Ohio Springs Incorporated, doing business as Sheets 892, located at 1880 Tiffin Avenue for a C2 liquor permit. There was no criminal record check because it's considered a master file, which means it has at least 4 active liquor permits within Ohio.
Mr. Palmer.
Move that no objection be filed.
Second, Mr. Ballman. All those in favor that no objection be filed, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. No objection will be filed.
Letter from Mayor Mern regarding appointment to the Airport Advisory Board for Gary Junker. This does not require council confirmation.
Comments? Letter be filed.
Letter from Mayor Mern regarding an appointment to Parks and Recreation Board for Jim Sebald. This does not require council confirmation.
Comments? Letter be filed.
Letter from Service Safety Director Martin regarding renewal of operating agreement with YMCA for the Riverside Pool.
Questions or comments? Mr. Stasiak?
Real quick, I wanted to add, before you guys pass this, if you could work together either with appropriations or with the administration, I'd like to get a clarification under Section I that we give the Y up to $30,000. And I think this is wonderful that there's going to be an appropriate split of any revenue profit there. Let's call it profit for a simple word. But it's unclear in what I'm reading as to whether we deduct the 30,000 or if the 30,000 is in and then we split anything over and above. I just need some clarification as to what's happening with that. In other words, do they get the 30,000 if we profited? And if that language is clear, I'm good. Other than that, I appreciate you guys moving that direction.
The annual service agreement went from 25,000 to 30,000, and then after that, when we get the year-end income, or the balance sheet or their performance statement, thank you, then the profit would be, if there is a profit over that 30,000, then we would split that 60-40, and they would then return a check of that 40%. So if they make $1,000, we get 400. If they make 10,000, and so forth. So it was just, they're seeing their expenses with lifeguards and so forth going up a little bit. Their goal is to break even. I said, okay, I see that, but if you have a productive year and you're starting to see increases, then we're going to share that as we move forward. So that was the compromise we came up with.
Ms. Frischie?
My question was kind of on that same section with regards to admissions. Is it broken down when you get it between people that just pay their regular admission and then if they're a Y member? Because do we still get anything out of it if they're a Y member? We do.
Season passes, daily passes, Y passes, etc.
So we'll get a percent. Thank you.
Mr. DeArmond?
So you're talking about profit sharing, but this says revenue sharing. There's a difference between revenue and profit. So we talk about profit sharing or revenue sharing? Profit. Okay, can we adjust this then there? I don't know. So it says right here in this. Okay, all right, sorry. Okay, profit sharing, all right.
I think I've used it a couple of places.
Letter be filed.
Synonymously.
Letter from Service Safety Director Martin regarding renewal of the Hancock Public Health MOU.
Questions, comments? Rob, anything you want to add on to giving you the opportunity?
It's pretty standard. It's a renewal. The services, the experts, they have those licensed individuals over at the Hancock Public Health. This has been a good working relationship. It's going up a couple bucks, but we literally spend $300 to $400 a year for our backflows, so this is minimal expense for them to be able to do this for us.
Thank you. Letter be filed.
Letter from Hancock Regional Planning Commission Grant Administrator Peninsky regarding execution of renewed programmatic agreement for HUD-funded programs.
Questions or comments? Letter be filed.
Letter from Hancock Regional Planning Commission Director Cordania regarding cannabis dispensary amendments to Findlay zoning code.
Mr. Wobser.
I just wanted to say real quick, appreciate all the work that Matt and HRPC and our planning and zoning committees put into this. I think it's pretty well thought out. Quick question that I had on this: does the state have anything to do with hours of operation of these businesses, or do we even have the ability to do anything about that? And my second thing was along the same lines. It was security. What do we have any way to make sure that there's some level of security at these locations?
Ask Matt to comment on this.
Thanks, Matt.
The state does have hours of operation requirements. They also have safety and security requirements, like there can't be glass windows you can't see within the shop. They have a two-tiered system. You have to show an ID to get in the door. You go into a waiting room, they check your ID, and then they check your ID again to go into the sales area. So the state does have a lot of requirements.
Okay.
Additionally, as a safeguard for the city of Findlay, we put them as a conditional use. So that means the city planning commission will get an opportunity and they can place any conditions within reason that they would like to. I would think hours of operation would be a discussion, and any other issues that there might be.
Great. That's what I needed. Thank you, Matt.
Mr. Hellman.
I just had a quick question, I guess, for clarification. It says in here that since 52% of the Findlay residents voted in favor of legalizing, that would be 52% of those who voted, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Mr. Feiner.
My comments may be better at the end here, but I just wanted an update on this. Here, just a week or two ago, was a Senate bill introduced to the House Senate. There are folks that's been tried before that they want to have the state reorganize some of the marijuana laws, and one of those important to municipalities is they don't want any of the excise tax going to the municipality, and they want to go into a general fund. This was attempted before and failed. It includes a whole lot of other changes to some of the rules and regulations. As far as those goes, it would be more in a strict direction, but the excise tax revenue deal would be important to municipalities. I don't know that this will be successful. I just wanted council to know. I will monitor it through the resources I have and see where it goes and keep council updated.
Ms. Frischie.
So the clarification on the number of facilities. So we have those who want to grow and store, like the warehousing like you see in Michigan. But like, let's say these vape stores want to have their line of brownies or whatever it might be. That's the overlay district as well, or these two separate things?
So they're two separate things. This ordinance would allow up to 2 retail facilities within the city of Findlay.
That's the two, when we say retail,
Retail.
that's like a vape store, a gas station, Walmart, to be
No.
able to have it.
No.
This is just the
No, state
license, like what we see in
yeah,
Michigan.
Delta 9 THC
Yes.
products can only be sold in state permitted retail cannabis stores. Now, there are the Delta 8 THC products, which are sold throughout the city right now, which are legal under a loophole within the Farm Bill of some sort. I don't know all the technicalities. But, so this will allow up to 2 retail cannabis facilities, and their first step is to get licensed through the state, and then they work through our local process. Additionally, in the I-1 district, it allows for the growing, processing, manufacturing of cannabis products. There's no limit to that. It is, however, a conditional use within the I-1 district. So Planning Commission would have to give permission for that use. And the example that we discussed is if someone wanted to put up a growing facility, and there's a 200,000 square foot growing facility, and it was all glass, like the ones you see on southern I-75, there would be a real maybe concern about that. Rather, if they want to grow a facility that's in a 200,000 square foot metal box, and you don't know if they're growing marijuana or making basketballs, that's another type of discussion. But with a conditional use on both of these, it gives the city a lot more control than a permitted use. So they really get to review it on a case-by-case basis.
Other questions or comments? Letter be filed. Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
A letter from Mayor Mern regarding Downtown Design Review Board appointments for Kevin Stock, Chris Keller, and Heather Clow. This does require council confirmation.
Mr. DeArmond.
Make a motion to approve these appointments.
Second, Mr. Ballman. Comments? All in favor of the three appointments, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. They are approved.
Letter from Mayor Mern regarding Hancock County Combined General Health District appointment for William Algie Jr. This does require council confirmation.
Mr. Wobser.
Make a motion to approve the appointment.
Second, Mr. Hellman. Comments? All those in favor of appointing Mr. Algie, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Mr. Algie is appointed again.
Letter from Mayor Mern regarding the appointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals for Alex Treese. This requires council confirmation.
Mr. Ballman.
Make a motion for the confirmation.
Second, Mr. Greeno. Comments? All in favor of the confirmation of Mr. Treese, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Mr. Treese is appointed.
Letter from Mayor Mern regarding the appointment to Board of Zoning Appeals for Sean Mason. This requires council confirmation.
Mr. Wobser.
Make a motion to approve the confirmation.
Second, Mr. Ballman. Comments? All those in favor of appointing Mr. Mason, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, and Mr. Mason is appointed.
A letter from City Engineer Kalb regarding ODOT fiscal year 25 Han Melrose Broad Avenue, PID 117615, project number 328-44200.
Comments? Letter be filed.
Traffic Commission minutes for January 21st, 2025.
Comments? Minutes be filed.
Letter from City Engineer regarding ODNR waterline reimbursement.
Comments? Mr. Stasiak?
There was quite a bit of discussion with this some time ago when it first came up. And there is a contract in place between the city of Findlay and Van Buren. So once this is passed, or if you pass it, and I'm presuming you will, I'll still need an opinion from the law director giving me permission to pay it so that it's not in contradiction with the standing contract between the city of Findlay and Van Buren.
Other comments? Letter be filed.
A letter from Mayor Mern regarding key performance indicators.
Comments? Mayor, any highlights?
Overall, as you can see, our departments are performing very well. Our crime levels continue to decrease, which is wonderful. Our departments continue to invest in our roadways. A couple of things I would remind you that instead of printing a 30-page packet of all of the KPIs, we give you this summary sheet. However, the full report is on our city website, so please take some time to look at those. And then starting in 2025, we're going to be revamping the key performance indicators, tying them all back to the strategic plan and giving a new format and dashboard that hopefully will be more user-friendly for citizens and for you all, as well as accountability for our departments. A lot of the key performance indicators are kind of standard state and federal items that are helpful, but when we're just continually meeting them, they're not really beneficial. And so we are going to be revamping that, so just keep an eye out.
Great.
Letter to be filed, or reports, excuse me, reports to be filed. We have no committee reports on legislation resolutions.
First reading for Resolution 2, 2025, a resolution requesting the county, this is the third reading, requesting the county auditor to make tax advances during year 2025 pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 321.34.
Mr. Palmer.
Move to adopt resolution number 002-2025.
Second, Mr. Greeno. Comments? All in favor of adoption of resolution 002-2025, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
And Mr. Ballman.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted.
First reading for Resolution 5, 2025, a resolution stating what services the City of Findlay, Ohio will provide to the territory proposed to be annexed to the City of Findlay, Ohio, situated in Allen Township, County of Hancock, State of Ohio, and being a part of the west half of the southeast fourth of Section 35, Township 2 North, Range 10 East, a tract of land consisting of 37.906 acres of land, more or less, hereinafter referred to as the Keller Seifert Enterprises, LLC et al. Annexation. First reading for Resolution 6, 2025, a resolution stating what services the City of Findlay, Ohio will provide to the territory proposed to be annexed to the City of Findlay, Ohio, situated in Liberty Township, County of Hancock, State of Ohio, and being part of the southwest quarter of Section 1, Township 1 North, Range 10 East, a tract of land consisting of 7.883 acres of land, more or less, hereinafter referred to as the Northtown Condominium Villas Annexation. First reading for Resolution 8, 2025, a resolution approving the expenditures made by the Auditor's Office on the attached list of vouchers which either exceed the purchase order or were incurred without a purchase order, exceeding the statutory limit of $3,000, all in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 5705.41D.
Mr. Palmer.
Move to adopt resolution number 008-2025.
Second, Mr. Niemeyer. Comments? Ms. Frishy?
This says it's for 5,625. Law Director's Office is where it's coming from for economic development incentives. What is that?
Mayor?
So this was related to the TIF development documents. So it was work performed in 2024. The PO got closed before we received the invoice. And so we, since it was work performed in 2024, it should have been vouched on that, but they hadn't provided us an invoice yet. So it got closed. We now have a new invoice or a PO put in place, but this is the process we have to go through to make sure that it's documented appropriately.
And it was for all four the TIFs?
Yeah, it was all of the TIFs.
Other comments? No. All those in favor of adoption of Resolution 008-2025, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
And Mr. DeArmond.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted. Ordinances.
Third reading for ordinance 2025-4, an ordinance amending Chapter 149.02 of the codified ordinances of the City of Findlay, Ohio, entitled Airport Advisory Board, thus repealing ordinance number 2003-119, and all ordinances and or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Ballman.
Move for adoption of ordinance number 2025-004.
Second, Mr. DeArmond. Comments? All those in favor of adoption of ordinance 2025-004, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno? Oh, sorry, you already said.
The ordinance is adopted.
Wait a minute, Mr. President, we missed Warnicki and Wobser.
Oh, my. Sorry, Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Now the ordinance is really adopted.
Sorry about that. Second reading for ordinance 2025-6, an ordinance appropriating funds and declaring an emergency.
Next.
Second reading for ordinance 2025-7, an ordinance authorizing the mayor, service safety director, and/or city engineer of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to enter into contracts for construction of various projects in accordance with previous capital plans, appropriating and transferring funds for said capital expenditures and declaring an emergency. Second reading for ordinance 2025-8, an ordinance appropriating and transferring funds and declaring an emergency. Second reading for ordinance 2025-10, an ordinance appropriating in funds and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Ballman.
Rob or Jeremy, maybe you could shed some light on this. This seems sort of transitionary, right? It's moving one to the other, the new from the old to the new, correct?
Yeah, this, again, like I explained last council meeting, this was a service agreement for our Motorola radios that the original quote did not align with what our invoice for 2024 was, so we just have to move $7,000 and some odd dollars into the dispatch budget to be able to afford that. The dispatch budget is a fairly small budget, so we don't have other wiggle room to absorb that $7,000, but this is a pending invoice for this service agreement.
But probably sooner you can get moving on that, the better.
That would be ideal, yes.
For those reasons, I would move that council's statutory rules be suspended and ordinance number 2025-010 be given its third reading.
Second, Mr. Hellman. We have a motion to suspend. All those in favor of the motion to suspend, please say aye after name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Hellman.
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer.
Aye.
Mr. Palmer.
Aye.
Mr. Russell.
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki.
Aye.
Mr. Wobser.
Nay.
Mr. Ballman.
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond.
Aye.
Ms. Frishy.
Nay.
And Mr. Greeno.
Aye.
The ordinance is, our council statutory rules are suspended, and this ordinance will be given its third reading.
Ordinance 2025-10.
Mr. Ballman.
Move for adoption.
Second, Mr. Palmer. Comments? All those in favor of adoption of ordinance 25-010, please say aye after name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Niemeyer.
Aye.
Mr. Palmer.
Aye.
Mr. Russell.
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki.
Aye.
Mr. Wobser.
Aye.
Mr. Ballman.
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond.
Aye.
Ms. Frishy.
Aye.
Mr. Greeno.
Aye.
And Mr. Hellman.
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted.
Second reading for ordinance 2025-11, an ordinance authorizing the Service Safety Director for the City of Findlay, Ohio to enter into an agreement with Camp Software Incorporated for the implementation of a point-of-sale and inventory management software system to be utilized by the City of Findlay Airport and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Ballman.
I guess, Rob, on this one, this is $500 to get this point of sale up and running, correct?
So the point of sale system that we're working on at the airport has been a long, tedious, methodical process for over 2 years. We are finally there. We'd like to get this in motion, and this service agreement that's approximately $500 a month, it is budgeted. We'd like to get this checked off and get going.
For that reason, I would move that council statutory rules be suspended and ordinance number 2025-011 be given its third reading.
Second, Mr. DeArmond. We have a motion to suspend council statutory rules. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Palmer.
Aye.
Mr. Russell.
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki.
Aye.
Mr. Wobser.
Nay.
Mr. Ballman.
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond.
Aye.
Ms. Frishy.
Nay.
Mr. Greeno.
Aye.
Mr. Hellman.
Aye.
And Mr. Niemeyer.
Aye.
Council statutory rules have been suspended, and this ordinance will be given its third reading.
Ordinance 2025-11.
Mr. Ballman.
Move for adoption.
Second, Mr. Palmer. Comments? Ms. Warnicki.
Rob, you said that this is $500 a month for the software to run this point of sale. Do we know how much money runs through that point of sale monthly?
Oof, I do not. I can get that information to council.
I assume it's more than $500, right?
It is. It's all the fuel sales and things like that, landing fees, and the different patrons that use the airport that
Just
actually use credit cards.
One day.
So yes, I don't have that number, but it's
Might have just been,
significantly.
snacks and coffee while they're landing, and I just thought that seemed excessive.
That is not.
I would just add, if you recall, Amanda has mentioned, there are certain credit cards that right now, if somebody shows up to use it, we have to take down their information on paper or call it in to authorize it. This point of sale system will work much better to bring us into the current century. And it's been a tedious process, but working with the auditor's office, they've done a great job, and this will also help with some of their reports out of having that documentation to keep it cleaner. And certainly with fuel sales and some of the things the airport's doing, you'll see in the airport advisory board, it will help with some of the attraction of additional aviation visits to the airport. So certainly will be well worth the investment.
Ms. Rishi.
Just real quick on the 500 a month, I know we have point of sale at other facilities, at the Cube and so forth. Are we all paying 500 a month, or do we get to bundle that into one? Or, I mean, I know there's separate entities, separate funds, but.
Yeah, the auditor could probably touch a little bit better on this. So there are different types of point of sale system for different systems. So this one is specific to the airport for aviation, so it cannot be utilized among our different departments.
So it's not the same
The other
company.
system that we have for parking tickets, wedding licenses, all these other, concession stands are a different system, and it's much lower cost. So this is a very specialized type of system.
So how long is our contract good for 500 a month? Is that 3 years? Is that changing every year? I mean, not that we won't have a wash, I'm just curious.
I do not remember the term. Sorry, this is one where I think it's a 3-year, if I'm correct. We've been dealing with a lot of different contracts, so I think it's 3 years.
Okay.
All those in favor of ordinance 2025-011, please say aye after a name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frischie?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
And Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted.
Second reading for ordinance 2025-12, an ordinance establishing the use and monetary accounting of road salt between the city of Findlay and the Findlay City Schools and declaring an emergency. First reading for ordinance 2025-13, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or service safety director of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to enter into a renewal agreement, including updated provisions with the Findlay YMCA to operate the Riverside Swimming Pool facility and associated YMCA programs for public and recreational use for the city of Findlay for the 2025 to 2027 seasons and declaring an emergency. First reading for ordinance 2025-14, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or service safety director of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Hancock County Public Health to provide backflow testing and repair of all city-owned facilities and declaring an emergency. First reading for ordinance 2025-15, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to enter into a programmatic, I hope I said that right, agreement with the Ohio State Historic Preservation Office for housing and urban development, HUD-funded programs, and declaring an emergency. First reading for ordinance 2025-16, an ordinance amending chapters 1119, 1141, and adding new chapter 1152 et sec to be known as the City of Findlay Cannabis Zoning Ordinance, adopting, approving, and incorporating the entire text of the aforementioned amended chapters and new chapter 1152 into the codified ordinances of the City of Findlay, Ohio, repealing section 513.15, prohibiting the sale and/or cultivation of cannabis, repealing ordinance number 2024-81, in order to eliminate the current 12-month moratorium established in said ordinance upon the adoption of said new cannabis zoning chapters. First reading for ordinance 2025-17. Did he want to speak? Oh. An ordinance appropriating and transferring funds and declaring an emergency. First reading for ordinance 2025-18, an ordinance appropriating and transferring funds and declaring an emergency. First reading for ordinance 2025-19, an ordinance supporting necessary City of Findlay, Ohio employees in efforts to preserve and enhance downtown Findlay as the heartbeat of the community, and authorizing City of Findlay administration to engage in maintenance and improvement efforts in partnership with the Downtown Findlay Improvement District. That's all I got.
Old business. Ms. Frishy.
Going back when we were talking about our finances and where our numbers are coming in at, and I kind of asked that we focus on that capital a little bit. Today I attended the commissioners meeting discussion with the mayor with regards to an update on our flood mitigation. It was a good meeting with the city and the county, but it also is an eye-opener that we may be needing some funding from someplace else and trying to figure out where this final project is going to come into. And that in that discussion, the mayor was speaking about potentially where else those funds could come from, whether it would be coming hotel motel tax, whether it was coming from other funds and increasing fees and stuff in the county. There was talk about increasing storm rate. The whole point of this, of me bringing this up, is just saying we could end up having to put more capital into this potentially, and I think it's an important discussion and something that we all on council should have our antennas up on when we're looking at the capital budget.
Yes, so you are correct that was part of the discussion. So as you recall, in December, I believe it was December, you adopted the ordinance about the appropriating our additional flood mitigation funds and the MOU for the Norfolk Southern Railroad Bridge project. Following that being approved, and I had asked multiple times if there was feedback from the county. They had said there was none, and then it changed. And so we were rediscussing their feedback, and they had wanted to include some language that pretty much would have just put the city on the hook for any additional expenses related to flood mitigation. And I requested that language not be included because this is a partnership right now within both the Norfolk Southern Railroad Bridge project, the Basin project, Phase 2 benching project, the grant that we have through FEMA. All of those have significant contingencies. They've been escalated for different years. And so, yes, you are correct that there always is the opportunity that there could be additional expense related to things. However, we have pretty significant buffers built into each of those projects and have been working obviously to secure additional funding. So that was a part of the project. I don't expect that to actually be the case. But obviously in that conversation, my main point was in the event that additional flood mitigation funds are needed to resolve flood mitigation, that it needs to be a partnership to address how that is going to be funded with the city and county, and that the city ourselves should not have to bear that entire weight. So that was my point, and you are correct. There's always the opportunity, but we have been planning for this, and that certainly will be a part of the conversation. And as we have done in years past, if necessary, we will evaluate finances and make sure that those investments, because that is our top priority, is getting flood mitigation complete.
Mr. DeArmond?
Are all three flood mitigation projects moving forward still though, or are we kind of on hold because of that?
So we are not currently on hold on anything. So the
Okay.
Norfolk Southern Railroad Bridge project, we had received the Federal Rail Administration grant. We can't proceed with putting the project out to bid until this MOU is executed, because Norfolk Southern is going to be managing the project and they want that agreement in place before they put it out. But the Rail Administration, we received confirmation, I believe it was last week from them, that the Trump administration has signed off on the grant agreement. So we have everything in place to be able to move forward with that. On the FEMA flood hazard mitigation grant, we are still on track with our environmental review. There have not been any delays in that. We are expecting that this summer that will get its final clearance, and then we should be able to this fall put both the Basin project and the Phase 2 benching projects out to bid.
Okay, good.
So moving forward, but these projects are very cumbersome, so there's a lot of, take one step and wait and then take another step, but we're moving along really well.
New business? Ms. Frishy?
This one's for Rob. Rob, over the last year or two, I've had some folks with concerns going in and out of the post office at night. So my question is with regards to the sleeping in public places, how is that addressed? Because recently, besides having folks sleeping inside the post office when people are going in and out in the evenings, there was also an incident just this last week where there was an unleft package just sitting on the step area. But the citizen was advised by the sheriff's department that that's our jurisdiction. And I said, I don't know what that is, but I don't know how we can tighten everything up, because I guess I look at it as private property. I don't know if that ordinance, we can address sleeping in there. Two separate things, but
So I assume that's referred to
that's,
me.
oh, yes, you.
So the ordinance would cover them calling the police department to actually respond to that. So if somebody doesn't want them sleeping in there, they could call, and then we can get the resources out there to get them in touch with who we have in place through the strike team to actually come out and get them where they need to be, or get them the resources they need, meet them where they're at. So if it's private property like that, absolutely, they have to call to and get us to come out to respond.
They is who? Is I guess what I mean, is if it's, you're telling
It could
me
be
we
the post
can't.
office, it could be the person that's there that is visiting a patron of the post office. I mean, it could be anybody that wants to call and.
But we won't monitor it at night unless somebody calls, we'll go out and address something.
Correct.
And then if there is something left unattended during business hours on the public property, is that city or is that county?
I would say it would be the city.
City, okay.
Yeah.
I just, with it being the post office,
No.
just seems.
They would call us and we would address that.
Other new business? Mr. Niemeyer?
I'd like to make a motion to revisit ordinance 2025-12 about road salt accounting, because this has been going on with the city and the schools, so why don't we give it its third reading and instead of postponing it? But that's just a motion.
We have a motion to reconsider. Second, Mr. Palmer, all in favor of reconsidering motion 25, or ordinance 2025-12, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign.
Nay.
I think there was two names, but can they raise hand maybe?
We will now reconsider ordinance 2025-012.
Discussion or not yet?
We're reconsidering it. Nobody has said anything on the reconsideration. Mr. Wobser.
So we had the replacement was for this ordinance, and the revised Exhibit A came into place. Jim, are we at a place where you're comfortable with the way things are going? Or do we account for it accordingly?
Yeah, I feel very good about
Very
it,
good.
and I was very disappointed in the article in the paper how it portrayed it. So, yeah,
Well,
this is a
join the
good
crowd.
thing we're doing.
All right. With that, let's see, we're just reconsidering, is that correct, Mr. Pro Tem?
You're looking for a
Correct.
motion to
It
suspend.
has received 2 readings.
I'd
Mr.
make a
Wobser.
motion to suspend council's rules and give us its third reading.
Second, Mr. Palmer. We have a motion to suspend council statutory rules. All in favor, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Nay.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
And Mr. Russell? Or
Nay.
Okay.
Council statutory rules have been suspended, and this ordinance will be given its second and third given its third reading.
Ordinance 2025-12.
Mr. Palmer.
Move to adopt ordinance number 2025-12.
Second, Mr. Niemeyer. Discussion. Ms. Frishy.
So I understand that Councilman Niemeyer is like, we've been doing it, we just need to get it passed. But I think there's two separate discussions here. Yes, the auditor's comfortable with this new practice, but is it appropriate for us as city council to be passing it? So when I look at this, I don't feel that and there was a legal matter years ago that was briefly touched on at one of these meetings on this, that there was a lawsuit. So I look at it that we're not supposed to be able to resell our salt. It's supposed to be kept within the city. And if we start doing it for Findlay City Schools, if St. Mike's is asking for it, or if our salt contractors are asking for it, you know, it's messy. The other part of it is, you know, I think there was some discussion that we've been replacing it, and it hasn't always been that it's been getting replaced. And so I think we've been paying for salt as well. In previous years, there's no accountability for it. I can just tell based off the loads that were purchased by Findlay City Schools and when that ended, of what's going on. So for the reason of getting into a messy situation, I think Findlay City Schools has been around for a long time. They've been managing their salt since prior to '96. I think they should continue on that path, and it shouldn't be our responsibility.
So I understand each of your points. I guess this is how I look at it. Our schools need to have safe passage and sidewalks and parking lots. I don't want them spending money on building salt storage because I know how expensive and what a pain that is. It's a very minimal amount of salt that they need on a regular basis. You are correct that there have been some discrepancies in the operational process related to accounting. That's why Service Safety Director Martin and Auditor Stashak have worked to clean this process up. And I think that it is very appropriate for us to partner with local organizations to do things that are going to benefit the community as a whole. And so I appreciate you sharing your concerns, but I think that it would be a disservice to our community if a tax-funded entity, we said, even though we can help you, we would rather you spend more money to do something that we can help you do at a lower cost for our community. And I just think that that is how it should be viewed.
Mr. Feiner?
And Holly, this also, the legalese part of this whole reason for this ordinance is because we are touching on the issue of public funds and the appropriate public purpose for public funds. I was called upon to write an opinion in that regard on use of public funds. I worked with Rob Martin and Auditor Stashak on this particular issue as well. While an ordinance like this could be argued isn't necessary, I thought in this instance it was, because this is an ongoing thing that takes time to conclude, because their use of salt and the city's use of salt comes and goes, where there's years where we don't use any, I guess. And so because this is long-term in nature, an ordinance preserving and memorializing how the city is accounting for it with the schools would be appropriate, versus somebody saying, well, that's how we've always done it, that's how we always did it, now we have something that says how we're doing it for salt. We may not need this for everything that the city does, but this one I thought was right for it, and that's where this kind of came from out of the blue that you may not have seen in the past years.
Ms. Frishy?
And again, Rob, I'm not arguing that on paper we have covered bases. My question is it appropriate for the city to be getting in this business? For that reason, I'm a no on it, because the schools have been managing their salt prior to the 90s without a problem when we had bigger snow events, and city tax dollars take care of them, and county property taxes. So I understand where you're coming from. I appreciate that you did the document up.
All those in favor of adoption of ordinance 2025-012 as a replacement ordinance, I should say, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Wolbser?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Nay.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
And Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted. Other new business. Mayor?
Just a couple of quick items. One, with the freeze and thaw, we are seeing a lot of potholes around, so please, if you see those, get on repair. I know our teams are out patching and doing good work with that. The second item is the State of the City is next Wednesday at 5:30, fireside chat style with Chris Oakes at the Performing Arts Center. I would love to see you all there, and also questions can be submitted in advance on a Google form through our website, so visit findlayohio.gov. And then finally, we've had a number of questions related to if ICE has been in our community. So one, I think the kind of speculation around that was the Customs and Border Patrol, which is on I-75 consistently, evidently stopped to get some fuel. Good for them spending money in town. We are not aware of ICE having been in town. Obviously, we will fully cooperate with them if they do come to our community. And again, we'll continue to monitor that situation. The majority of our immigrants, again, are still here on TPS. So until we hear otherwise, they do have legal ability to be in our community.
Seeing as though there is no more new business, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Mr. Ballman, second Mr. Greeno. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned.